He was meditating on God. Remember, thought meditation is to create an experience. He created an experience. He thought God up in the room. Wow. Don't tell me. Come on. He thought God up in the room. That's what Paul was talking about when he says, I think myself happy. I thought God up in my situation. I came here with God in my heart. God is with me. I'm happy. He says, the Spirit of God spoke to me. Can a mortal be more righteous than God? Can a man be more pure than his maker? In other words, God is saying, you ain't going through nothing. I'm God. Yes. Yes. This ain't nothing. You think you're more greater than me that you can't experience trial? You ought to know the scripture. We got it in Revelation, but Job got it in Revelation. When it said Jesus stood as a lamb slain before the foundation of the world. He was already slain. I'm not going to go there today because this word. But you don't know what that means. Lamb slain before the foundation of the world. You know what that means? That God forgave you of all you were going to do even before he created you. You were already forgiven. Then we going through life talking about, oh, it's me. God said the lamb slain, meaning that I forgave you even before I made you. You've been forgiven before you got here. All you got to do is accept what Christ has done. Come on. Don't ever let nobody beat you down. You can tell them, baby, not only was it nailed to the cross before he made the world, he had already accounted for whatever that was already accounted for. He bled before the foundation of the world for my sins. That's the true meaning of atonement. God, Job thought God up in the room. Yes, Lord. So Ephesians says, now to him, I like this, who is able to do exceedingly abundantly. So in other words, after all your thinking upon the goodness of God, remember this, that God is able to do even exceedingly abundantly above all that you ask of him. That means they got blessings that hadn't even come into your mind. That's what it means that eye has not seen, ears heard the things that God has prepared for them, but God reveals by his Spirit. Oh, can you get up? Are you in a place where you can prophesy to yourself? And tell yourself, self, you ain't seen nothing yet. What God got for you hadn't even crossed your mind yet. So get to the mark. You think I'm blessed today. I see tomorrow I'm going up even higher. Touch your neighbor and say, I'm going to the mountain where nothing but the eagles fly. If they say you're in the valley, say, baby, you ain't seen nothing. I can see myself flying to the mountain. You see yourself as a chicken. I'm an eagle. My wings are stretched. I'm going where only the eagles go. I can see He says, you do above all that you even think or imagine. Dolores Cannon, she's a hypnotherapist. You can look that up, what it means. Says this word, we are master manifestors. Manifest. We bring things. When God has given us the power to create whatever we can imagine. That's what she's talking about. We are master manifestors who can manipulate matter, tangible or matters, situation, with our mind. That's what Job did. He thought upon God. He brought God. He brought a manifestation of the Spirit of God by meditating upon him. No wonder the enemy want to distract us from meditating. If you meditate more at night, You'll find the angels of God will come in your room. You'll go to sleep, your sleep will be peace because you can sense their presence. You can sense the peace of the presence of God, but you have to practice that. I'm trying to show you, think. So she said we are master manifestors who can manipulate matters with our mind. I know that's a hard phrase. What does that mean? I'm going to break it all the way down and call it this way. We become, what we think about, we bring about. That's all she's saying. I just gave you the technical, that's the way she, I got to speak in layman's terms. So what we think about, we bring about. You are, as a man thinking, so goes his life. What we think about. Let's close here. Now, understanding what we think about, we bring about. Why you see why Philippians, Paul says, found brother, whatever things are true and noble and just and pure and lovely and of good report, there's any virtue, praise about it, and anything praiseworthy. Look what he says. Meditate. Think on these things. You know what the rest of it says. So what happens when we begin to think, meditate in this way? Ponder. Here we go. Let's close with this story. I've used it many times before. So let's close because it sums up what I'm saying. Then Elisha said, a famine was in the land. He had prophesied a drought, and the nation was under a famine or a drought, which he done several times in his career. Thus, this is Elijah speaking. Thus says the Lord. Now, a famine and a drought is going on. So everything has gone up high. Tomorrow about this time, a shear of fine flowers will be sold for a shekel. In other words, it's like saying, when there's a hurricane, the XR want to pretend that our industries out in the Gulf and all of this machinery, refinery, and all this were threatening. We lost something, so they jacked the gas way up, gouged it and everything. That's kind of like what was happening with the food. But the prophet prophesied, I'm going to use this metaphor for example, to say that tomorrow this time, gas is going to be $1. It's like, man, gas, $4.50. But the prophet said it's going to be $1 this time tomorrow. He saw it. That's what he's talking about. That's another way. And sold for a shekel, and 2 shears of barley, and so forth, be sold for a shekel. So an officer on whose hand the king leaned answered. This is one of the king's officers. Answered the man of God and said, look, he laughed at him. He scoffed at the man of God. He says, look, if the Lord would make windows in heaven, could this thing be? In other words, if God even opened the windows of heaven, you think that's going to come to pass? That's why you got to know what you know. Because people will try to discourage what you know in your spirit is God and what God spoke. That's the job of the enemy. Let me make this quick interjection. I know my time. Robinson said this same thing in her teaching, that with the way the human mind works, that when an idea or thought comes in an affirmed manner, that is, you got 5 seconds to act before your mind begins to talk you out of it. She called it the 5-second rule. She said if you can act within the first 5 seconds, you'll do what will come to mind. But if you delay it 5 seconds, the mind begins to offer you reasons why you ought to not do what can possibly go wrong, and it talks you out of what God initially put in you. She called it the 5-second rule. You only got 5 seconds to act. Now there's the 17-second rule, which tricks the mind. That if you can hold a thought for 17 seconds and don't waver, the mind can distinguish it from the thought, psychic, from reality. And so it just begins to act as if the thing is real in nature. 17-second rule. That's where the meditation comes in. All right, let me change. I know y'all feeling this psychology lesson. I done told you. God gonna bless his people so that the spirit of the enemy is gonna be grieved. You better get with me. Are you gonna be, God, how you blessing the enemy? We were sitting right there. Hallelujah. We didn't receive. We got received. I'm already got it. So he said that the Lord will make windows of heaven. Let me do this. Could this thing be? And he said, and this is what the prophet answered. In fact, you shall see it with your eyes, but you shall not eat it with your mouth. Because you mocked what God showed you. You're going to see it, but you won't eat it. Ooh. Ooh. Wow. Yes. Ooh. Well, when there's a word from God, well, be careful what you say about that. He said you're going to see it, but you won't eat of it. So what happened? This is what the story I pick up all the time, but I want to give you the foundation for that. There were 4 lepers, men at the entrance of the gate. They were lepers, of course. They weren't forbidden to be in the town. They said to one another, why are we sitting here until we die? Because they cannot be in the city. So they are out on the outskirts in a certain territory allotted for them because they are declared unclean. Now, therefore, come, let us surrender to the Syrians. All right. They rose at twilight to go to the camp of the Syrians. So they are on their way, the 4 men. But the Lord had caused the Syrian army to hear the noise of chariots. Oh, it ain't no telling what God gonna do. If you just act upon what you know in your spirit. God caused them to hear a noise of chariots and a noise of horses and a noise of a great army. Now, here's the key. They could have sat there and died. But with a little bit of thinking, a little bit of imagination, a little bit of innovativeness, a little bit of vigor, a little bit of ingenuity, a little bit of, well, ain't no telling, something good can come about. A little bit of faith. Let's try something different than sitting here doing nothing. Let's become creative. Let's go try. Touch your neighbor and say, just a little bit of thinking can take you a long way. If you just use what God gave you, start thinking. Because as a man thinketh, so goes his life. Just all they did was thought enough to try something different. And when they got up, God called the Syrian army to hear chariots and horses and a great army. And they arose and fled, look at this, and left the camp intact. When these lepers came to the camp, they went into one tent, ate and drank, and carried from it silver, gold, fine clothing. Because when they heard all this, they ran. They left all of the wealth. All they did was thought, act, and got rich. Hallelujah. I'm going to say that again. They didn't even ask God for a miracle. They weren't even believing for a miracle. They just used a little bit of mind's power to become creative in their spirit. And let's try something. But don't sit here and not. And that little bit of thought did not know that it provoked the Spirit of God to move on their behalf. And God heard, the Syrians heard a great army. And they go into the camp of the enemy and take all of the silver and the gold. Now, I didn't put all that stuff there. They went and hid a lot of the silver and gold in the rocks in the cave. And then they finally came to themselves, but they were operating under a hype. They said, well, what we doing, this ain't quite right. We done got filthy rich. And all Israel is dying of starvation. Let's go tell the king what happened. And they did go tell the king. And when the king got word, he said, that can't be. He said, we can take you to the camp. When they took the king's men to the camp to see truly that all of the wealth of the Syrians were left there, the king put out a decree, go to the mountains and the valleys where the Syrian army, there is food, drink, wealth, and we're in a famine. This is what happened. The same officer who mocked the prophet, you can read it yourself, the scripture says, he too got in the midst of the crowd to run to get some of the wealth. But the crowd trampled him to death. So the word of the Lord from out of the man of God came true. He saw it, but he did not get it.
Yes.